Howdy, we're going to work on some shocks on the Hummer because it's bouncing and because we got some new shocks. Today on One Man Garage, well, for my handful or, dedicated followers that saw me do some cheaper Summit hydraulic shocks on the front of the Hummer H3 that has the lift kit with the Rancho expensive shocks that I just bought 2 new ones, about half price, looking for deals. I had mounted the Summit shock with double bushings on the bottom to make it taller and used just a hardened washer on top. And apparently that washer must have fractured and just disintegrated, and it just fell through the hole. Kind of weird, but that's what happened. But we're going to put the Ranchos like it used to have on it that were wore out when we drove this back from California. So we'll just move on and get the Ranchos back on. These Summit hydraulic, not gas pressured shocks were set up for a lesser lift. That's why I extended it with the double bushings, because of the lift on this was outside of the range of the shock. I was just trying to fix it cheap, and it worked for a while. And then the front end got floaty, but it turns out it's because it's only running off the right front shock and not both. But that's good. We're making it better. We also got the old metric in the front. Big crescent wrench, and there's a bunch of grease slung out of this thing. I don't know if that's a CV boot leaking and slinging grease everywhere. That sucks if that's the case. Hope not. We'll pretend we didn't see that. I'm getting way too dirty just doing shocks. I don't really like this. This is my day off. It's Labor Day, and I'm working. I'm sure y'all are working on projects too. Tractor Supply was busy today. I think it's got to be the CV boot. Slinging shit everywhere. Sucks. The other one's dry. Nice. Oh well. Did get the lower bolt in, and that's up there now. So do I do one today or both? I don't know. Feeling kind of lazy. Well, that's in there. Didn't feel like working on it, but needed to. I'm very dirty with grease. Well, I resumed and got the Summit shocks off and took the little booties off of them. These are actually not worn out, so I'm going to save them just to see later on if there's something I can retrofit to the front of the Scout later on. Whatever. I had to use 2 of the bushings because the one Rancho I bought didn't have a hardware kit, and they had a much bigger metric thread shaft. So I just used a big old drill bit and honed out the polyurethane and the 2 good washers that were still there, and went to the local hardware store, figured out what thread size. It was a 14 by 2 millimeter thread, so I got a hex nut, lock washer, flat washer, and a locking nut. So I just double nutted this side, and since these bushings are not quite as fat as the Rancho ones, I had room to double nut it. So anyway, it's all on there now. Of course, the other side's still slinging grease everywhere, so I'm not gonna look at that right now because, well, I'm just doing the shocks, man. Ain't got time for that. I did drive it today with one shock working. It was much better. So we'll see how it goes. Looks good in there. This thing has a discontinued Rancho lift system on it. Must have been really expensive, freshly installed. But that was a long time ago, before my son bought this thing. So that's it for now.